in shadows that refuse to pass. A record played a muted groove, the kind that never tries to move. I saw your name in window steam, but maybe it was just a dream. A cab passed by with crimson light. It pulled the silence through the night. The sidewalk echoed worn out shoes, repeating what we had to lose. No one looked and no one spoke. I lit a match and watched the smoke. It curled like thoughts I didn't send, the kind that start but never end. Streetlights swayed in lullaby, a subtle ache, a heavy sky, and every note I tried to write was blurred beneath fluorescent light. Nowhere to be, no plan in mind, just city ghosts and borrowed time. Each corner held a piece of sound that scattered when I turned around. So if you're walking after dark and feel a chill inside the spark, it might be me inside that breeze, still humming quiet melodies. I never called, I never wrote, the words all sank beneath my throat. I walked until the rhythm slowed and left me where the evening lowed. This city's full of soft regret, of songs we never finished yet. But still I breathe the autumn in and wear the silence on my skin. If I forget the way it felt in doorways where the silence knelt, just know the chords still haunt the breeze like scattered jazz in minor keys. You left your coat on Friday night, a whisper caught in yellow light. The vinyl hissed but didn't play, like love that had no words to say. I traced your note across the frame, a curl of ink beside your name. It wasn't long, it wasn't clear, but somehow it still brought you near. The lamplight filtered through the blinds, a silence full of tangled signs. Your mug still held a hint of tea, an echo steeped in memory. me pause, still made me lie. A softer song began to swell from far beyond the stairwell shell. I didn't move, I didn't speak, just let it rise and let it leak. The clock was wrong, or maybe right. It ticked too slow, then blinked too bright. I left it running just in case you passed again through silent space. No photos hung upon the wall, but shadows shifted down the hall. A radio tune from days ago still hung beneath the undertow. When I closed my eyes to rest, the melody stayed in my chest. A loop, a sigh, a voice off key, but every note belonged to me. If nothing's left but falling rain, then let it wash the quiet pain. I'll walk until the dawn turns true and disappears with all of you. faced the open air and found no one was sleeping there. The coffee brewed and filled the room. It missed the scent of fading bloom. I took a cup but didn't drink, just let the warmth begin to sink. The calendar had lost its place, still stuck on you, a younger face. The dates were crossed, the ink was blue, but none could tell what next to do. The faucet dripped a steady time. It counted seconds out of line. Each drop a step I didn't take, each pause a promise I could fake. The floor was cold beneath my feet. I shuffled past the dusty seat. Your book was folded at page 9, still marking thoughts you left behind. A jacket sloshed across the chair, still shaped like you, still unaware. And in its sleeve I found a pen, but not the hands to write again. The hallway hummed with echoes thin, a memory tucked beneath my skin. I opened doors and found them bare, yet felt your hand was almost there. The clock refused to sound its chime, its silence louder than the time. The sky outside was dull and wide, it held the shape where you'd confide. The song you left on late at night still played with flickering candlelight. It knew the lines I couldn't say and hummed the ones that slipped away. I wrote your name along the steam. It blurred before I caught the dream. And though it vanished in the haze, I stayed there counting empty days. The evening dressed in velvet gray and pulled the noise of town away. A candle flickered near the sill, its shadow danced and then stood still. Your records leaned in crooked rows, still holding grooves no needle knows. I let them rest untouched by sound, as if the quiet held some ground. I wore your sweater just to see if memory still fits on me. The sleeves were long, the collar loose. I sat and tried to hear you speak, but all I caught was floorboards creak. A photograph behind the glass still showed you laughing in the grass. I moved it slightly to the right. It caught a better frame of light. The radio refused to play, just static sighs and drifted sway. I thought I heard your laugh between, but it was just the washing machine. I opened books you left unread, each spine still bent, each margin bled. I found a scribble faint and wide, a line you meant to share then hide. The moon was stitched with cloudy thread. It hovered where your thoughts once led. I watched it hang above the street, a pulseless glow beneath my feet. The room grew quiet with the hour. I stared into a paper flower. You made it once on rainy days, now wilted into quiet praise. like breath against the pain. I touched its sleeve but felt no heat, just a cloth and air and faint defeat. The hallway kept your footprints light, a path of dust and silver light. I followed them through open doors to corners you'd explore before. The curtains waved, the windows closed, as if they knew the way you posed. They fluttered once, then settled down like silence folding through the sound. The kitchen smelled of distant toast, of mornings lost and missing posts. Your mug still held a dried out trace, a rim that kept your former grace. I sat where you would read aloud, where sunlight touched you like a shroud. The pages now are quiet still, their margins bare, their meaning spilled. Your records cracked, then hissed, then stopped, each groove a story never topped. I let the needle ride the curve and heard your laughter slip and swerve. The hallway clock refused to chime, it counted seconds out of time. I stared until the hands stood still and thought of you against my will. The stairs were softer than they seemed, as if they held the weight you dreamed. Each step I took was half a guess, a cadence left in quietness. I played the song you used to hum, it echoed back but didn't come. The melody was thin and wide, like something pulled too far to hide. And when the dusk began to fall, your shadow stretched along the wall. It didn't speak, it didn't stay, it turned and gently walked away. The attic smelled of linen dust, of summer heat and silent trust. I found a box beneath the beams, filled with the edges of your dreams. Old photos curled in yellow light, your face a blur, your eyes eyes too bright. I held them like a brittle song, too soft to last, too loud for long. A ribbon tied around a note, the paper thin, the ink remote. It simply read, remember this, a phrase that stung more than a kiss. The record player lost its spin, it hummed and stopped and hummed again. I tapped the switch but let it rest, even static can sound like a guest. The window frame was chipped and cracked, but held the world the way we lacked. The sky was wide, the sun was thin, as if the day refused to begin. Your coat still hung on rusted wire, a sleeve collapsed, a ghost of fire. It swayed a bit when I walked by, a quiet shape that won't comply. The dresser drawer still held your ring, small circles tied to vanished things. I touched the box, then closed it slow. Too many stories left to go. The stairs were steep, the railing thin. Each step creaked like a violin. I didn't rush, I let it play, a slow descent into the grave. The basement kept your winter boots, their laces worn, their heels and roots. I almost slipped and caught my breath, your name still echoing in death. And when the dust slid through the pane, it sketched your silhouette again. You didn't move, you didn't speak, just stayed with me another week. The night arrived on softened feet. No storm to warn, no wind to greet. Just silence pressed against the pane, and nothing left to lose or gain. Your echo faded from the floor, no creak remained behind the door. I swept the dust with careful hands, like brushing out forgotten strands. The lamp was dim, its bulb half glow, a golden hush from long ago. It flickered once, then held its breath, like someone waiting out their death. I played the record one last time. The needle cracked, then found the line. A voice I knew began to fade, not gone but simply stored away. The mirror framed a quiet face. simply said I'm here today and folded quiet in its way. The morning came without a sound, no footsteps on the dewy ground, but through the stillness came a beam, the kind that wakes you from This is where the story's closed. Let no one mourn, let no one pose. Just let the music fade to dust.